Greetings, YouTube. Anybody remember Alex Jones? I know it's easy to forget things like that, but he's still around. Though his empire is being sold off at auction quite shortly. I believe it's in next month. Is it? I think it's in November, or maybe it's in next year. Regardless, they're auctioning off his entire empire because he owes so much money he cannot conceivably pay it. This makes me happy. I hope this entire procedure, entire endeavor, puts him into the pauper's house for the rest of his life. Um, but he has an interesting slant on something. Let me pull up the quote. He says he's concerned that the globalist deep state. And remember, globalist is a term that means Jewish. Jewish deep state is planning to try to maintain power and control of the U.S. government if Trump wins next month, including plans to roll out martial law to quell dissent. Now, remember how the Democrats just handed the government to Trump. Why? Because he won the election, and it was all about a peaceful handoff of power from one president to the next. It isn't Democrats that are willing to do anything they have to do to win. It is only the GOP in the U.S. And people like this are the mouthpiece of their disinformation campaign. There's not going to be any martial law. There isn't going to be any hold on to power. If Trump wins, Trump wins. I'll be disgusted, even more disgusted with my fellow Americans than I already am, and that's saying something. I'm not quite sure how I'll pull that one off, but I will be. I can guarantee it. Um, but Jones is just being a propaganda piece for the Redcaps. They need to hear this. They need to be afraid. They need to be angry all the time. As someone who's dealing with anger issues and has his entire life, I can tell you, as you get less angry, it's better for you. You have a healthier attitude towards the world at large. There are things in life that are worth not being angry about, and there are things in life that are worth being angry about. White nationalism, for example, is something that's worth being angry about, which is why I despise the GOP, because they're the party of white nationalism. But worried about people that would like to make sure that people have housing and food, health care, no student debt, uh, can afford to have a fully functional life, making sure that billionaires and corporations pay their taxes and the middle class pays less. Those are not the signs of an evil government. Those are the signs of a functional government. Remember, everything that the Democrats want, all the positive stuff, all the progressive things, not talking about the center right stuff that many establishment Democrats are all about, all of the progressive things, those are just middle of the road everyday kind of things in the rest of the world. It's only in the U.S. that we look to the concept of universal health care as some kind of evil communist plot to like steal the vital bodily fluids of the world at large. No, everybody else looks at that and goes, yes, that's what civilized nations do. But the United States has been bought and sold by insurance companies, so we don't think that because we've been listening to propaganda for our entire lives. I know a woman who came from Canada and is convinced that the American healthcare system is better than the Canadian system. She's wrong. But to admit that, she'd have to admit a lot of other things. And she's not going to do that. Oh, moon tie's done. Um, so Jones is out of his mind, but he's a useful fool. He's a useful tool to the GOP. Now, maybe he hopes he'll just get some, grifting of his own off this ticket. It's worked for him in the past. But don't listen to him. Don't listen to his threats of or fears of martial law because that's not going to happen. Don't think that the Jewish deep state even exists, let alone has any say in elections in November. No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. There is no deep state. There is no Jewish conspiracy to control the world. Um, at the moment, however, the Israeli government seems to be really dead set on to making sure every Palestinian is dead. But that's a different topic. Um, but yeah, Jones is nuts. The GOP are white nationalists, and they will use any tool in the book to stay in power. It's not the Democrats that you have to be afraid of when it comes to that. It's always been the GOP, and it probably always will be the GOP.